Good morning, Pastor Ron Jetter, Immanuel Lutheran Church, Grandview, Washington, on this first official day of the astronomical season of autumn, beginning the 22nd of September 2020, here in the sanctuary where stuff is actually happening. We tried worship last Sunday, found out that at 10 o'clock Sunday morning, everybody who is doing a hybrid or a Zoom or a YouTube Live or a Facebook church is using internet. It's as though everybody who is involved in worship, whether they're at home or at a church, all opened up their spigots at the same time, and the water tank didn't have enough pressure to push water for everybody, so it kind of sputtered. That's about the best analogy I can think of, because we had sputtering internet. Some people may have a more dedicated broadband service with more bandwidth, and we're going to have to explore that because we upgraded the signal within the building, which we thought was the problem. We didn't know we'd have this other one. So we're working on that. That means, though, that Zoom is going to be the way we worship on Sunday, the 27th, and most likely Sunday, the 4th of October. We'll keep everybody apprised at that. But meanwhile, we've been working on lighting as a men's group, and I'm just going to turn here and show you what I mean. The fixtures, I don't know if it'll show up really well here, but the normal fixtures, they've been glaring and they're just not particularly bright. The one on the very back on this side, the light when you're inside here is about twice as bright and much less glare because we've sprayed frost. It's about $5 a can, and a can will do a fixture and a half. So we sprayed frost on the pieces of glass. We washed them first and then let them dry or hand dried them so that there's no water spots, and then frosted them and then put in new LED light bulbs. So as you see, the normal fixtures, they use 150 watts. Now an entire fixture uses 45 watts, so less than a third of the power usage for twice the amount of light and a whole bunch less glare. The cost of this, well, it's going to be maybe $20 a fixture as opposed to probably $300 or $400 a fixture. It can be done without really doing anything, no wiring, just a ladder. So that's our easy fix. Sometimes the easy solution is the best one. Why overcomplicate things? Speaking of overcomplicating things, let's go back to the book of Genesis, where these people really have lives that are way, way too interesting, which is why it makes such a great story, but why there's so much pain and suffering. Last we heard, Joseph revealed himself to his brothers. He's alive, he's doing very well, and he wants the family to come under his protection in Egypt. So all three of those key things happened just in the last chapter. The brothers found out he was alive. They were shocked, they were surprised, they were overjoyed. Number two, he is not just doing okay, he is somebody. He's the number two person in charge. Pharaoh has, the older Pharaoh had apparently died because Joseph says, I'm like a father to Pharaoh. So Joseph is now older, and the Pharaoh is now younger, having come to the throne, and he has been trusted by the family, the royal family, and has been given charge for at least 14 years, and has gotten through 7 years of plenty, and now they're 2 years into the 5 more years of the 7 years of famine. So this is 9 years into Joseph's 14-year stewardship that we know about. He finds out that his father's still alive and says, I want everybody here. Send the brothers back, send a cart back. And Pharaoh found out about this because the eavesdropping servants overheard Joseph talking to his brothers. Pharaoh says, yes, that's great. I want to see the whole family. Now, remember some of the things that I've talked about in Genesis. This pattern of sin, judgment, grace. Sin, judgment, grace. And we saw grace in the last one. We saw Joseph toying with his brothers and realizing, okay, he's gotten caught because now his brothers have said, it'll break Dad's heart if we don't bring Benjamin back. And Joseph thought, oh my goodness, here I am tricking my brothers and causing my dad pain. I can't do this anymore. He revealed himself, and there was grace abounding. They all forgave each other. Joseph is able to say, God's will was done through all of this, including you selling me into slavery, including these dreams that I had that drove you guys nuts and my arrogance and all that. He didn't say that, but that's implied in the text. And now they want Jacob to come. So verse 1 of 46 begins this way. When Israel set out on his journey with all that he had, he came to Beersheba. He offered sacrifices to the God of his father Isaac. God spoke to Israel in visions of the night and said, Jacob, Jacob. He said, here I am. He said, I am God, the God of your father. Do not be afraid to go down to Egypt, for I will make of you a great nation there. I myself will go down with you to Egypt, and I will also bring you up again. Joseph's own hand shall close your eyes. So there's three things there. God's promise, God introducing himself, saying, remember who I am. And Jacob went to Beersheba, this place where so many other things had happened. So this is part of the story, that these people who are especially wanting the ritual portions of the story, they want God to be glorified, and they want locations of altars and locations of God's visitations with humans marked, and they want those told in the story. It's about 300 miles from Jerusalem to Cairo, and so basically, how many miles can you make in a day? You've got a cart being pulled by cattle, by oxen, and you're taking flocks and herds and kids and people and everything. I don't know how much the American pioneers made with their Conestoga wagons and their I don't know, their immigrant wagons, the ones with the different size wheels on them. Could you make 10 miles a day? Would that be really, really pushing it? I've hiked 14 miles in a day with a youth group back in Yosemite. That was in my younger days in my first church. It takes a lot of energy to do that with everything you've got. Could they make 5 miles a day? Okay, at 5 miles a day, it's going to take them 2 full months to get from the land of Canaan, from Israel, down into the land of Goshen to Egypt. So that's probably not a bad estimate of how long it would take. So they stop by Beersheba. He offers prayers. God again appears to him and says, now don't forget who I am. You and I walk together. We are an item. You are my chosen, and I am your God. You need no other gods. I am it. I'm all you need, and I'm with you in Egypt, and you're going to prosper in Egypt. So that right there, it's God telling Jacob/Israel, you're going down to Egypt, and you're not coming back. Joseph will close your eyes. Well, Joseph doesn't just get to leave. He's got a job there, a very important job. Joseph will close your eyes, meaning you will die in the presence of Joseph in Egypt. In Egypt. So Jacob knows he's leaving the land of Canaan, and he will not see it again in all likelihood. God says, do not be afraid. So all of these things, I'm your God, do not be afraid, I'm going with you. Oh, I will be with you as you die there, but I will bring your offspring out again. And that's the key promise to remember, because that's the promise that sets up the entire second book of the Bible, the book of Exodus. I will exodus you. I will bring you out. Verse 5, Jacob set out from Beersheba, and the sons of Israel carried their father Jacob, the little ones, their wives, the wagons that Pharaoh had sent to carry him. They also took their livestock, the goods that they had acquired in the land of Canaan, and they came into the land of Egypt. Jacob and all his offspring with him, his sons and his sons' sons with him, his daughters and his sons' daughters, all his offspring he brought with him into Egypt. And then in verse 8 we have the naming of the sons, the 10 sons, who their mothers were, and who the wives of these sons and their children. So it's And then it jumped down to verse 27. The children of Joseph who were born to him in Egypt were two. And we've already heard Ephraim and Manasseh. All the persons of the house of Jacob who came into Egypt were 70. So including Joseph's wife, and their two kids, now there's 74 Israelites also, although Joseph and his wife are really not part of the Israelites. They have become very Egyptian, but the two children of theirs are going to be absorbed into the clan of Israel, and their children will be very much under the promise of God, even though God has set Joseph aside from that promise, and yet still a key person to make sure that promise happens. The promise that God is with his chosen people, the promise that God will watch over him, and the promise that their destiny is not Egypt. They are in Egypt, they will prosper in Egypt, they will multiply in Egypt, but their destiny is beyond Egypt. Their destiny is still the land of Canaan that God gave them. See you tomorrow.